Warning, what you're about to hear was intended to make you laugh. A lot. If you listen to the show and feel inspired, then that's awesome. But if you're easily offended or just can't take a joke, you should turn this off right now. Otherwise, turn this shit up and hang on. Welcome to the Get Up. All right, welcome to another episode of The Get Up. I'm your host, JP, and today with me, I have Adam Seymour. Am I saying it right, Seymour? Seymour? How do you say your last name?
Seymour.
It is Seymour, all right.
Seymour, nevertheless.
Oh. How long have you been saying that shit for?
Just made it up.
Just made it up right now.
Just now.
So what's up, Adam? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty awesome, man.
All right.
Just hanging out, enjoying another cold Michigan day.
Yeah, Michigan Sunday, I know.
Yeah.
Man, I had a busy-ass day yesterday, and I'm, feeling it today. Holy crap. I was
Yeah.
up till, 2 watching a UFC fight. My girlfriend does crafts. We went and did a craft show. Then my work party downtown. Went downtown, and then came home and watched the UFC fight till 2, and then I woke up at, 4 with, feeling like I had all this drainage in my chest and stuff, so it's just, been a rough Sunday.
Yeah.
Man. So, Adam.
Nice little recoup day for you.
Yeah,
then.
right. And then I'm doing this too, so sorry if I sound a little off for anybody that listens. Adam is a pretty phenomenal tattoo artist, and it's I've always been interested. It's funny, I do the wood burnings, and I'll show you some when we're done. But
I see the samurai.
Yeah, I did the samurai. Yup.
That's dope. I like that.
Thank you. I that's why I kept that one. I really like it too. And then I got the obviously the table. I
Yeah.
designed that logo just for this table, but it's funny because people see the stuff that I've done and they're like, oh, you should do tattoos. And it was like, man, everyone's always thinking tattooing is just this thing you just jump into and it's so easy. And that was why I reached out to you, because you've done a tattoo for me and for my girlfriend. You've done quite a few of my family members,
Yeah.
my sister Autumn and Sandra and Justin Tomei. You've done a bunch of my family's tattoos.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I'll reach out to Adam and see if you wanted to talk about that. How did it all start? How long have you been tattooing, first of all?
So I've been tattooing for almost 10 years.
10
No.
years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so 10 years now. And that's including my apprenticeship. My apprenticeship was about a year long.
Okay.
So, although I was tattooing almost right away.
Right.
When
Obviously.
Yeah.
What led to it? Were you always artistic?
Yeah. Yeah, man, my parents growing up, they always encouraged me to do my art and draw and paint and
Guy shows up with a Bob Ross t-shirt on too.
he's my hero.
Happy trees. You ever tattoo some happy trees?
All day, baby. Sometimes I like to I get all my best material from Bob Ross.
Okay.
Do a happy little tree.
Yeah.
Smiling little squirrel in there. Family chipmunks.
Right. So so your parents fostered the artistic.
Yeah, in anywhere, when we would travel, go camping, whatever, I was always finding the street artists that were airbrushing or painting or doing glass blowing or something, and sometimes my parents would have to leave me there because
They weren't getting you out of there?
no, I would just sit there for an hour or two while they ran off, did their own thing.
They could just leave you?
Yeah, they would
You
just
can't
leave
do
me.
that nowadays. You can't be leaving kids anywhere.
No,
I mean,
they
it's
get in
crazy. Isn't
trouble now.
it nuts?
Yeah.
That's one of the things with my kids, my daughter's 10 and my son's 15, and it's when I was my daughter's age, I was running my neighborhood. And it's I can't imagine my 10-year-old daughter running around in these streets, all the craziness that you see going on.
I mean, they knew where I was at. They weren't far, They
knew you weren't going
Yeah,
anywhere.
they knew I wasn't going anywhere. They ran off and went to the next store or whatever down the
Right.
way, and I would be there watching them painting.
So did you ever get into painting and stuff too, or airbrushing or
Oh
anything?
yeah, I love painting. So
Okay.
yeah, being an artist and being diverse in what you do, I feel like it's important.
Yeah.
Because say you're stuck on a certain problem, you're trying to come up with a new technique, whatever. Sometimes going into a different media will give you a different perspective of what you're doing.
Right, because they're not all the same techniques for everything.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I've been playing around a little bit with watercolors because it's good to mix into the wood burning sometimes because you can add a little bit of color, and because it's so translucent, or like it's not such an opaque color, that like it lets the wood burning still come through but adds a little bit of color to it. So I've been playing around with that a little bit.
Yeah, watercolor's fun. Little less control.
Man, it's nuts. You can watch some crazy videos of people and it's like it's just a mess of colors and then it comes together to be this like beautiful thing that I can't even do at all.
Yeah, I can't do it either. Don't feel bad.
Did you ever mess around with airbrushing too? I've dabbled in that.
Yep.
And it wasn't very successful.
Yeah, I have a couple of Iwatas.
Yeah, okay.
So I, get into. I like to airbrush some of my, even like some of my like, oil and mixed media paintings.
Okay.
I'll just come by and do like, highlights, whatever.
Really? All right. Yeah, I've seen people do stuff like that. It always amazes me, like the depth that can be created with airbrushing. When you see some of the stuff that people do, like especially on motorcycle tanks and stuff like cars and stuff, it's like, man, how like when they do the smoke and stuff, and it's like you can see the depth in that. It's just crazy.
Yeah, that's like a whole other game. I was actually looking for an airbrushing apprenticeship.
Really?
Before tattoos.
Okay.
And so a lot of my designs and artwork, and I was gearing up more for that. And then when I was introduced to my girl, she was a tattoo artist, and she saw all my work, and she was like, "Oh, we gotta get you going on some fruit, man."
Yeah. So what did you start practicing on? Like some what is it?
Oranges.
Oranges. Okay. Yeah.
Oranges. Yeah. So yeah,
I've heard like melons and stuff, like for bigger pieces, and I mean,
yeah. Well, you want an orange. You want something kind of small. A lot of people think it's like it's practice because it's like skin, and it's not. It's not at all like skin. What's more important is building the muscles and being able to do a straight line around a curved surface.
Okay.
So that's what.
Yeah, because your skin, the things that you're tattooing aren't perfectly flat.
Yeah. No. Yeah, exactly. And like you take the size of an orange, and if you place an orange pretty much anywhere around the body, it's about the size of an elbow, the size of a fist, the size of a shoulder.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Those are all the areas you're going to be tattooing.
Right.
So
the popular common ones.
Yeah, we're just.
So how many oranges did you go through? A lot.
A lot. We were pretty healthy around that time. Lots of vitamin C.
No, you would eat the orange afterwards?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Absolutely. Can't let it go to waste.
The ink wouldn't go into the fruit, like the actual.
Even if the ink went into the fruit, you can. It's edible. It's
really?
Yeah.
So it's like food.
Yeah, it won't hurt. Well, it's not food. I wouldn't eat it,
well, some things are like food grade.
Right.
So like it's okay to consume, like it's not going to kill you. It's
Yeah,
like
it's not gonna
paintballs.
kill you.
Paintballs are food grade materials. Like
Right.
everything in it, you could technically eat and not be hurt.
Yeah, you'll just pass it. It's
Yeah.
just a carbon metal. So
Just some metal, some carbon.
Yeah.
Oh look, my shit's colorful this week. Must be that orange.
yeah, you might have some streaks. I don't know.
So how long did you practice doing that? And I've also seen like now like you can go online and buy like tattoo kits that come with a pen. Like the is it a pen? What do you call it? The actual machine that you're using.
So yeah, so
The holes and
machine
needles
is
and
called
everything.
the machine is just called the machine.
Okay.
And then depending if you're having like say a traditional machine is kind of it's made with like a magnet or two magnets and a metal bar. That's
Right.
where that sound comes from.
Right.
Is the metal bar smacking into
It's
the
vibrating,
magnets.
right,
Yeah.
between them.
And then there's rotary machines where there's very little to no sound, and it's just it works similar to like a drill.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So
All right.
it just has a motor that constantly spins.
Yeah, well, I've seen like
So.
you can get fake skin now. That
Yeah.
like you can get like
rubber skin.
slabs of like rubber skin to practice on and stuff. That's
you
it's
can
gotta be
even
weird.
get like those. I noticed that people are tattooing the naked cats.
What? No.
Yeah,
Those-
yeah, they got big rubber naked cats.
That's weird.
Yeah, and I at our shop we had one of our guys. He painted a 13-inch long dildo. He painted. He tattooed. He tattooed. President Trump with a bunch of swastikas around him on a giant dick. That was awesome.
What so how long did you think you practiced before you actually started messing around with a real skin, and how nervous were you? That's got to be fucking nerve-wracking.
So the doing on the fruit, I never did it on fake skin. The rubber skin. I tried it once, but it was just, it's really hard material, and I don't think it really trains you all that well.
No.
Nah, not really. It's okay.
Does it like stretch? So, because I know like that's one of the things, right? Like keeping the skin tight. So like trying to stretch out the skin when you're tattooing to.
Nah, it doesn't really.
Doesn't really do that.
Yeah, the best way to do it, the old school way to do it is get yourself some pig feet or a pig head.
Really?
Yeah, and tattoo that. And
all right, I've heard of pig skin, using pig. I just didn't know you just get like the feet or the head or something.
Yeah, you just get like a foot or.
There's some like crazy pig heads out there somewhere in the world.
Tattoo it, and then make a soup later. You know?
So the process of getting involved in that whole scene is what the apprenticeship usually comes first, right?
Yeah, so each apprenticeship is going to be different. You
based on what, the shop owner?
Yeah,
or the artist that you're.
Yeah, based on the artist. Mine was nice because it was my girl. You know, she. So we had, you know.
Now, how long had she been tattooing?
She was tattooing for only a couple of years, 3 years, when she started teaching me.
Okay.
And then her mentor, Sebastian Murphy, he took over and had me come in. It was his shop.
Now, Sebastian, that's a name that I'm pretty sure I've heard before too.
Oh yeah, he's been on Ink Masters.
Okay, that's okay. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, he's kind of a Detroit legend.
Kind of a big deal.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, big deal. You know, he's a cool dude. Yeah, he this was before he was, you know, on Ink Masters
and all that.
Yeah, it was just before all that. So I was pretty lucky to be able to be in his shop and learn under him. And yeah, and his shop was on 8 Mile and Ryan.
Okay.
So it was kind of like on the border of the hood, you know.
Yep. Yeah.
So it was a excellent place to learn.
All right.
Very, very busy, and the dynamics of people that would be coming in is
just.
Yeah, it was something every day.
It's kind of funny because to go from like a shop at 8 Mile and Ryan, for people listening, if you're not familiar with Detroit, 8 Mile is, besides the title of an Eminem movie, is like the border between Detroit and the suburbs, like literally 8 Mile, and there's a lot of stuff on 8 Mile. All the strip clubs are on 8 Mile,
Yep.
All the dispensaries are on 8 Mile now, you know. So and the tattoo shops being down on 8 Mile, so that's why it's like. To be in the shop where you're at now, where you're in, what is that? Clawson, which is like the total opposite of a fucking 8 Mile.
Oh yeah, complete day and night.
Oh yeah, I bet. But
8 Mile living, baby.
Yeah, well, you'll see some things down in 8 Mile.
Yeah.
I did when I used to do deliveries. I delivered right by 8 Mile and Ryan, and someone got shot and killed. We heard the gunshots, and then the next day I had to come back to the lady's house, and she was like, "Yeah, that was someone on the next street over. Got shot and killed."
Oh,
kind of crazy.
Man, we had a guy come in covered in blood and ripped open.
Really?
Yeah, he had cuts everywhere, all over him, and he was all out of breath. And my piercer, Matt, he comes back. He's like, "Hey, Adam, I got a client out there for you," and I'm like. Oh, okay, you know, I come up, not expecting to see a guy.
Looks like he came out of a murder scene.
Yeah, he looks like he came out of a murder scene, dude. And he's like, yeah, man, how much do you think it's going to be to go ahead and fix this tattoo right here on my arm, man? And there's this huge gash in it. And I'm like, bro.
What are you doing
need
here?
911,
Why
man.
are you here?
Like, why are you here? He's like, you know, I just need to see how much it's going to be to fix these tattoos up. And I'm like, dog, you need an ambulance, man. You're bleeding everywhere, dude. You got to go sit down. Dude, I go to sit him down in the chair, and he just face plants right on the floor.
Just passed out?
No, he just face planted.
Oh. Well, I mean, loss of blood or something, maybe.
You know what? I think he was drunk or in a fight or something.
Happened, yeah.
You know, I kept him busy while, you know, Matt went ahead and called 911 to get him some help. But,
right.
But man, he was.
That's got to be crazy.
You know.
Yeah, I bet that's not happening in Clawson, huh?
No.
You're not getting stabbing, shooting victims walking in on Clawson asking about their tattoos that have been slashed open. Jeez.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think he probably was the one out causing trouble. Yeah. Got the better end. got the business end of whatever happened and was running and trying to find a place to hide because he wasn't happy when the cops showed up.
Oh, really?
No, he was not. He didn't want their help.
That's crazy. So for when you do an apprenticeship now, so like obviously you said it's like different between or you know wherever you go. What does it usually entail? Is it like you just kind of like learn what they're doing and they show you how to do things, or you're just a bitch that's sweeping up shop? Or
it's rare that you're gonna find an apprenticeship where the artist wants you there.
Really?
Yeah.
Because you're eventually going to take work from them, or
no,
or you're just taking their time?
It's business, you know, and that's how apprenticeships work. You should, you know, you don't want to be like, oh yeah, come on in, man, you're so awesome. No, you want to be like, go away, fool. Do you think you want to do
like
this?
Like hazing?
Yeah, it's hazing. You know, you got to go through the gauntlet. You know,
right.
I've been, I've been shooed out of the shop a few times.
Yeah. So what do you learn during that time? Because like at what point do you actually get to work on doing a piece or work on someone?
When they tell you you're ready, you know, you gotta, like for me, you know, I was starting to get good with, you know, decent getting the lines down.
On the oranges?
And I was pretty overzealous too, you know. I was like, okay, I'm ready.
Oh, obviously. Do you think that's the case with pretty much anybody that's doing like an apprenticeship? You're just like chomping at the bit, like, come on, man, come on, let me in there.
Yeah.
It's like the kid that never gets the start on the baseball team. Come on, coach, put me in, I'm ready.
Come on, it's just one swing.
Yeah, right.
And then you go to swing and it's like a total mess. Get nailed with the ball, who knows? So, but you know, yeah, I want to say it was probably maybe like 2 or 3 months of tattooing fruit, and then eventually I tattooed myself.
So I was gonna ask. I've known other people that have like their knees are just like their thighs and their knees are just all tatted up because that was where they could get two hands, one hand for the machine and the other hand to stretch out the skin and.
Yep. So I did my calf.
Oh, your calf, okay.
Yeah, the side of my calf.
That had to have been kind of awkward, though.
Yeah, you just kind of sit cross-legged and do it up, you know. I was so freaking scared. It took me maybe an hour before I could actually stab myself.
Before a needle to skin?
Yeah. I couldn't stop shaking.
Because you're like, all right, this is for real, right?
Yeah.
I mean, at least if you fuck it up, it's on your body, but you probably don't want fucked up shit on your body either.
No. I made it look like stone, so the shaking didn't really matter.
Okay.
Made sure I didn't have anything too clean, you know?
Right, okay.
Yeah, so that was a little terrifying. And then all my first stuff is on one guy, actually.
Really?
Yeah. My mentor, he said, if you're going to do it, you know, you're going to make mistakes, you want your mistakes on one person.
Wow. 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 So it's like someone just walking around like, yeah, I'm Adam's mistakes.
Pretty much.
Wow, that's fucked up. I think I must be that for this one tattoo artist.
Well, you know what? Even though it was my first stuff, and yeah, I did some of my mistakes on him, those were still better than what he originally had. So,
really?
Yeah, he was really into. He's really into growing artists. So a lot of his stuff has been, you know, military tattoos. Right. People just doing it. You know, he's traveled the world getting tattoos, and to me, I don't look at those as necessarily as bad tattoos. Those are awesome. Those are memories that he got to share. a few of them he doesn't even remember getting.
That is the case for quite a few people.
Yeah.
Holy crap! So one guy's walking around as the test dummy.
Yeah.
That's nuts. I would have never thought someone would volunteer for that, because you're always afraid of getting like the green tattooist, that's like doesn't have all the skill and then ends up.
I still have them. I still have them on my Facebook.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah, I still have them posted on my Facebook. I never took them down.
That's cool.
I'm proud of my.
No, I
stuff.
could see that for sure. Being proud of whatever you've done. Like, I've got stuff up for the wood burning that, like, my first stuff that isn't stupendous. Like, I had some of my first things for sale yesterday at the craft show, but it was they're marked down because there's flaws that I see in some of my stuff that my girlfriend's like, quit tripping, no one's gonna notice that, or I don't even see what you're talking about, stop it. And I'm like, I can see where the color of the wood's a little bit different because I sanded right there, and it's
I think you know what, I think that really separates the masters from people that just do it, right? Because honestly, in order to be a master, you can't just be compliant with what you just did. You have to always be outdoing yourself, and you're sadly probably never going to be satisfied.
Right. And I don't ever feel satisfied. Like,
Yeah.
there's a couple times with pieces I've done where I'm like, damn, that's good. But I'm like, but that part right there.
Yeah. It's
that
fleeting.
part right there is fucked up. Shit. Oh, I got to do it again, but I'm not doing it again.
No, because it's a lot of time.
Man, so you said the apprenticeship's usually how long? A few months?
Yeah. So, I think I was tattooing Skin and Eddie. Eddie was the guy that I tattooed. I tattooed him for like a couple of months.
Wow.
And then I was then jumping in the game. And
did you start off small? Like, do you start off with just like little things, or you get into like complex pieces? Because like shading and all that stuff, like the realism and stuff, was that like something that you just started practicing and doing right off rip, or was it something that took a while for you to get there?
Yeah, it took me a while to get there, and you do what you feel is good for you.
Okay.
And sometimes you do bite off more than you can chew, and you have to figure it out.
Yeah. You can't be like, yo, so come in here real quick. calling a friend, lifeline to help you out.
No, you can.
Really?
Yeah. So anytime that I was coming up on something that I didn't really understand or how to do, Sebastian was right there to help me out and figure out what the best way to handle the issue was, no matter what it was. And I've made mistakes. I spelled something wrong before,
So it's funny because you did.
Regrets.
So I had a tattoo done, 2 tattoos done by the same guy.
Yeah.
Years apart, so I didn't even know it was the same guy. And it was funny. So the first one was my son, and I've got his footprint up here and his name and his date. And he did the name good, but the date he fucked up. Like he did a totally wrong date.
Whoops.
On one of them, and I was like, "Yo, dude, that's not what I gave you. That's wrong." He's like, "Oh shit, let me fix it." Right? Or no, the first one's this one on my arm, which was a design that I came up with, and it's literally says like skateboarding and snowboarding for life. Right, and this is a snowboard, and that's a skateboard, and then it says for life all in there. And when he did it, he messed up parts, so it doesn't look exactly like the design that I drew up. And then I was like, yo, that part's wrong. So then he had to like try to fix it, and it looks okay. I know it's wrong, right?
Yeah.
So I go to get this footprint done on my son, and I went to a studio up in Chesterfield. And I can't remember the name, and it don't really matter. But I was like, yeah. So at this point, I had these 2. I got a Dragon over here, and I got this one down in Roseville, I think, somewhere. And I'm like, yeah, so this one, I had a bad experience, the guy that did this one, because he was like, oh, so you got tattoos? And I was like, yeah, so I want this. And he's like, yeah, I'm the one that did that one. And I was like, oh, shit. I was like, well, I hope you got better. And then he fucked up the date on this one. And then I was like, dude, you're 0 for 2 on me. What the hell? So I was like, oh shit. I was like, dude, the date's wrong. And he's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, the date's wrong. So then he had to like fix it. And it looks okay, but I can tell that it's fucking wrong, and it's just like, God damn it. So And it was funny because it was in 2 different shops. Like, this was Gibraltar, I think,
Yeah.
and then this was out in Chesterfield, and it was like 2 different shops, the same damn guy, and he even acknowledged it was him, and he messed this one up, and then he fucked up that one, and it's like, dude, you are not redeeming yourself.
Well, all those screw ups I've ever done, they still come see me. So.
Yeah. Well, because you've gotten better, right?
Yeah, get better. They get over it.
Get over it.
They get over it. I apologize.
It makes you unique, right?
Yeah.
So what's the worst mess up?
Oh man, I don't know. Actually, one of the worst mess ups that I ever did was on my buddy. Oh my gosh.
That's even worse, right? Something that you're gonna see over and
It
over
was
again.
my best friend.
You're gonna see him over and over again, so you're just gonna fucking put it in your face over and over again. Oh, hey, what's up, Adam? This thing's still fucked up.
Oh yeah, it was good. Yeah, he did for a while.
At least like some people, you'll never see him again, right?
Right. Well, live life as you live forever, my friend. But yeah, dude, I just got into an argument, so I was like a little bit flustered. You know what I mean? And then like I was doing something complicated, and I didn't quite pay attention to what I was doing because I was focused on other things, and I sat back, I looked at it, and I was like, well, you could probably see that this isn't going very well. And he was like, yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
In his mind, he's like, fuck, what is this guy doing?
I was like, well, we got 2 options. I could just ignore this spot and then come back to it later and we'll finish the rest, or we could just call it a night.
So I'm going to just draw a black square and we'll start somewhere else.
That's kind of what I did. But.
Oh, man. Just tell people it's the monolith, 2001 A Space Odyssey.
We worked it out. It's fine. It looks good and everything. It's just the elements I was trying to put into the area and the size just wasn't going to work. And
no.
And I didn't know until then.
Until you started going on. Like, oh,
yeah,
shit.
And then you're just like, okay, well this isn't going to work out.
Now, how was that? Like, were you like kind of panicking, like freaking out inside a little bit?
Yeah, you do. You panic. And
was this relatively like still new in the beginning of your tattooing career?
No, maybe I don't know, 4 or 5 years in. So so even at 4 or 5 years, yeah, things can still happen, you're still learning, and yeah, so you just have to go from whatever mistake that you made and just realize, okay, what you're doing is wrong, so stop and figure it out.
Right, step back and take a look at it.
Yeah, and and for me, I never try and hide my mistakes. I go, hey, this isn't working out, or this happened, so we gotta figure it out and work around it. Luckily, that doesn't happen
often.
No, it's happened like maybe 4 or 5 times.
Right.
Out of the thousands of people and hundreds of people that I've tattooed over the years, it's only happened like 4.
So when you first started off, did you just start off like black and white, or were you color and everything right away? Some of the pieces I've seen that you do, like the colors are crazy. Like the ones you did on my sister with the camera and stuff, and it almost looks like watercolor. The pastel, like, it looks cool. In the film, I think she's got one on her foot that you did too. So it's like that. The color looks brilliant. I mean, is that something you jump into right away too, or?
So yeah, I mean that's a personal type of thing. You know what I mean? For me, I jumped into it pretty much right away because people were asking for color, and I figured out how to get color into the skin pretty well and quickly.
Is there different techniques for it, or?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, there's a lot of different techniques for color and for the style of artwork.
Right.
Depending on the style of artwork, you have to change how your machine is running, the types of needles you're using. Mm-hmm. Yeah, everything.
Well, I know like the types of needles being like the groupings that have more needles or whatever to do like bolder lines versus like less needles for thinner stuff. But like, how does the adjustment of the machine come in? Because I know like it's like a regulator, right? You're you're adjusting how much energy is going to it, so how much it vibrates, right? Isn't that what usually the other little machine is there?
Like how many strokes you can get out of it per second. Yeah, that's what you're adjusting. So if you're slowing it down, you can get more of what's called a pepper shade.
Okay.
You kind of speed up your hand, slow down the machine, and it kind of gives it a pepper shade. It's like it's kind of like used in old school
Okay.
tattooing, or you can speed it up and get a little bit smoother gradient. When you're doing lines, you want the machine to be running pretty strong.
Pretty fast.
Yeah, pretty fast. So
Okay.
that way you don't have like gaps and skips.
Right.
And, it just really all depends, and then like adjusting the pressure of how
you're applying, right?
That I'm applying is important too, So and how far your needle drag is out. I drop my needles a little further when I'm doing lines as opposed to when I'm doing shading.
And what does that do?
So it just gets to the skin a little bit deeper, and
Okay.
and you have more saturation, so of ink.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, with color techniques, man, that's a lot. You kind of have to learn how to blend and shade. I kind of go back and forth from like I'll go in and I'll do my dark shading, and then I'll do some of my lighter colors, and then I kind of get a nice smooth blend in between those two
colors.
Yeah.
Now, is that just like literally like, okay, here's this color and tattoo it, and then the other color, and then you mix those two pigments together to create that blend? Because obviously you can't like just drag it from one.
So say I'm doing a red ball,
right?
And I want that red ball to look like it's a 3D ball,
right? So it's gonna have the gradient of the color,
in depth. I might use 9 different reds.
Really?
You know what I mean?
To get the desired effect.
Yeah. So I might go from, like a dark red to a crimson to, a ruby, and
really,
and then I have, dark, light red,
right?
Lipstick red. I got tons of reds.
Wow. Okay.
But I might have anywhere between 3 to 7 different colors just to do one color.
Right. Is it? I mean, and that's clearly going to be something that's different than like when you're painting, right? Because like when you're painting, you can kind of almost drag the color that you already laid down into the other one sometimes to kind of blend them right there on the spot. Versus, I'm assuming when you're tattooing that you're like you have to fill up the needle with that color that's going to be the next in the line of that progression, right?
So with painting, you have a little bit different physics to it, right? You're painting on a flat surface, and you're in your brush too, right?
Right.
You can get one side of your brush can be white, and the other side of your brush can be purple, and then the way you angle the brush on the canvas, you can literally make blended purple and white,
right?
Flower petals, and do it like that. But you can't do that with a tattoo machine. So yeah, you kind of have to work with like one color at a time, and be able to blend those together.
So that blending process, that's got to be a little bit harder then, right?
Yeah. That takes a little bit of time because you have to learn how to how the inks, like how to blend the colors first of all, and then second of all, if your inks heal up, you got to know how your inks heal up later.
So like what it's going to look like once it's done?
Yeah, because those colors are going to be different.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I mean, besides practicing on Eddie, what was his name, Ed? Eddie. So besides practicing on Eddie, like how do you know how those colors are going to heal up? I mean, from just experience? Like,
yeah.
I use this color and this is what it looked like later on? Or?
Yeah, you have a general idea, and then look at how it went.
Now, wouldn't it
and
be
how
different from
healed.
person to person, though, too, based on how
Yes.
their skin heals?
Yep. It's going to be different from person to person. Different shades of people are gonna, look different too.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then time of year, that makes a difference.
Really?
So during the summer, everybody likes to get tan.
Oh, that's
And-
horrible for tattoos, yeah. But
Yeah.
what's it do to the skin, though, for when you're actually working on it?
Well, if you're actually working on like super tan or burnt skin, it's horrible.
Really?
It doesn't stretch. Like
Just
how
because
it
it's all
normally-
dried out?
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever the sun does to the cells of the skin, it just has like a different consistency.
Really?
And then on top of that, it's hard to see past that tan.
Right.
Where if you got a good solid line or not.
Right, okay.
Because the bruising and everything else kind of like comes through a little bit brighter. So it's a little hard to tell exactly if you got it
Right.
perfect, you know what I
Okay.
mean? So, but on lighter skin and the less tan you are, then the easier it is to see it. So,
That's
and-
honest,
and
that's crazy. Just
you, and dark folks too, they get tan too.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's the same thing.
Same
The
thing.
lighter they are and the less tan they are, the better.
Better.
You know what I mean?
right.
So,
To see how it, you seem to laugh a little bit at the whole sun and tattoos thing. I mean, that's pretty proven, right? The sun fades tattoos.
well, it kind of fades the tattoos. Again, the tattoos are metal. So it's more your skin that it's fading and not the...
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's
when-
more your skin that's degrading and than the actual ink.
than the actual ink.
Really? So and you're saying it's metal. So what is the ink generally comprised of?
Different metals and carbons and different minerals that
Okay.
that make up blue.
Right, yeah, that make up the hues and
white
stuff,
or
yeah.
make up yellow. So.
And not all ink is created the same, right? I mean, there's probably a bunch of different brands, and they probably all have different characteristics. And
Yeah, so a lot of the different inks that have different consistencies and everything. I know our ink, we have a factory out in Brighton that makes the ink that I use,
really,
and and we just became FDA approved, and
so is that something you guys are doing on your own? Like,
anybody that's FDA approved is funded by the company, and
Okay.
it's that literally costs millions.
so I mean, like the Brighton, the place out in Brighton, is that like a national company that just happens to be here in Michigan, or is that like something that you guys are starting to do on your own? Like, we're gonna put out our own line of ink.
Oh no, the guy who runs the ink is he's the owner of the company. He's grown it in the last 30 plus years.
Oh, okay. So been in business
And-
for a while.
Oh yeah, he's super well known. He's pretty famous in the tattoo industry, and he's globally.
And he's based out of Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yep, based
awesome.
out
That's
of-
really cool.
Yep, vegan. No animals are hurt to
Okay,
make our
to make
inks.
the inks. Okay,
So,
okay.
all you vegans out there,
All right.
you're safe to get tattooed, my friend.
Wow. Yeah, no, that's cool. So I mean, how many ink brands would you say are out there? I mean, is it a lot?
God, I don't know. There's probably thousands, if to my guess.
Because it just feels like, I mean, from the outside looking in, it feels like the tattoo community is this like the not the tattoo community, but the tattooer community is like this close knit small group of people that got their secrets. And there's I know they do like the big expos and stuff like that, and there's new technologies. Like the last time I saw you and went into your shop, like I was talking to you about the machine you use, because you don't have one of the big clunky top heavy machines anymore. You're using one that looked pretty low profile and like it wouldn't weigh a lot.
Yeah, I'm using a rotary.
And we were talking about like the changes in technology and stuff, and so I know that there's those advancements and stuff, but I wasn't sure, like, is there only a handful of like airbrushes? There's a handful of airbrush manufacturers, and that's pretty much it. And then there's like a handful of ink companies or airbrush paint companies that are specific to airbrushing, and that's pretty much it. And I kind of imagine tattooing being the same way. Is it not? Is it bigger than, I mean, just a handful of brands?
I think it grown, like right now, I think it's pretty large right now, only because there is so many new businesses and opportunity to grow. Once the market starts saturating with, like, the big dogs and then more rules and regulations, then you start seeing all that kind of stuff start tapering off, you know what I mean? And that's with any kind of business.
Right.
So, so that, yeah, as of right now, there's thousands, and within those people, all those hundreds of companies, you're right. They all pretty much know who each other
Right.
are, and they, which is funny, is a lot of them, which a lot of people don't know. A lot of these companies are actually getting it from one or two companies.
Right.
So they're just putting
Yeah.
brand names. Yeah, they don't actually have. They're not actually making anything.
Right. They're just getting it from somewhere else, putting their
just
branding
buy
on
it
it.
from China and
Put their branding on it.
put a new brand on it, whatever.
Now, so I mean, like, obviously, going with someone that's producing all their own inks here in Michigan, there's less of a risk than, like, you're buying some ink from China. Because, I mean, like, that's the big thing with the vaping right now was a lot of the counterfeit, like, vapes and stuff coming from China and all that were what's causing people to get sick and have all those lung issues. Like, is there a worry about that in the tattooing community as far as, like, the inks and stuff, buying things like that from overseas?
So I never actually ran into any problems buying counterfeit ink. I assume that it's probably out there.
Right.
I've never ran into it, but I just don't see that the counterfeiters being. I don't see how it could be real profitable.
Right, because it's a smaller community.
Yeah,
right.
it's a smaller community. Yeah. It's much, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you probably got no guys that are, just making it out of a garage or something.
Right.
That actually really could happen.
Yeah.
So.
And that was some of the vaping stuff was happening.
Yeah.
It was like literally a company in China was just printing the packaging and then shipping it to people, and you could make your own and package it up to look like this brand.
Yep. Yeah, and it ends up getting people sick and everything. Yeah, it could happen, but for me, it's nice because I work for the company that makes the ink,
right?
And I've been in their factory. I know exactly where it comes from, and
that's gotta be kind of neat.
Yeah,
to be a part of that and to see it and to see that part of the process, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually, it was funny because one of my clients that I tattoo, he works for a company that does, work for companies that are trying to be FDA approved and everything else, and a construction company, and he actually built our walls.
Oh, okay.
And he was showing off all the tattoos that I was doing.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. So,
what's the most common question you get about being a tattoo artist?
What's the craziest thing you've ever had a tattoo?
That was on deck. That was one of mine too.
Yeah.
Like,
Where does
have
it
you ever
hurt?
tattooed a butthole?
No buttholes yet.
No buttholes yet.
I've tattooed everything that you have and don't, but no buttholes yet.
No buttholes yet.
Yeah, no top of the mouth. Yeah, no tongues.
Really?
But,
do you get anybody to do the lip?
Yeah, I've done lips. Done a bunch of lips.
Don't those go away after a while?
Not if you do them right.
Oh, really? You can make...
Yeah.
Because I've heard people like, oh, yeah, I get it, but after a couple of years, it'll be gone anyway.
Yeah, no, if you do it right, you'll be all right.
What do you feel is like the craziest like trend that's shown up? To me, one of them is the eyeball shit. Like people tattooing their eyeballs.
Oh, yeah, that's an injection.
Fucking nuts. Yeah, I know it's not like really getting in there with the tattoo gun, but like...
Yeah, that's an injection. You need like a syringe, and it goes underneath the membrane of that clear membrane. I forgot what that part's called. But
keep
like,
everything away from my eye. Get out of here.
Yeah, I like my eyes.
Yeah, right.
I'm not sticking any needles in them.
What I mean, like, so what are the trends that you've seen coming up? Like, I know one for a little bit there was like blacklight reactive or like glow in the dark inks.
Yeah, a lot of people ask for that. I
Really?
I don't have that though. I don't have any. I only use inks that I trust, and then like a lot of the blacklight ink is I'm not sure where it comes from. It comes from
Right.
different companies. I'm not, you know, if it's coming from companies that kind of are always switching their you know, their providers or makers, uh, it that raises, you know what I
Some red
mean?
flags, a
It's
little
a
little
red
sketchier.
flag, so I'm
Yeah.
like, I stick to what's been around for a long time.
Gotcha. Yeah. What's the trusted, tried and true?
Yeah.
What
So,
how would you describe your style? Like what, like there's some people that'll do just like the sailor style, or there's some people that are like specialize in like koi fish stuff like that, right? Like how would you describe your style?
I don't know, maybe like a retro realism. You ever seen one of those like retro movie posters?
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's more of a painted style, kind of
Okay.
like that. Um, I can do black and gray. I've dabbled on portraits,
Yeah.
and I like doing like photos of dogs and animals, and I like doing the bears and the happy little trees, and pretty little clouds.
Pretty little clouds.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, how long? I mean, like on average, what do you think? How long is the piece take that you do? I mean, obviously it depends on the scale and the detail and stuff, but like how do you do that and sit there and not like cramp up and fatigue and stuff? I mean, I'm sure the tool helps now that you don't have one that's like top heavy and really vibraty.
Sometimes I don't realize I'm cramping until I do. So,
That was a loud ass knuckle crack. Holy. All right. Yeah. I can get a couple pops.
you know, you just sit
No, I'm
there.
getting mics.
No, yeah, so you end up doing that every day.
Right.
So carpal tunnel coming
Oh,
soon.
yeah.
But yeah, you just it, I'm so focused on what I'm doing. A lot of times I don't even realize
You don't
that. Yeah. So and I was tattooing the other day, and my client looked at the clock, and she was like, "Oh my God, it's 4:30. You know, we've been here since 11." And I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "I didn't realize time would go by that fast." And, you know,
Right.
it's kind of like that. You know, you walk in, it seems like it's going slow at first, just because you haven't really, you know, you gotta get the momentum
Right.
going,
And
and then.
also from the person getting tattooed, it's like, ow, ow, oh man,
Mhm.
how am I gonna do this? And then it just starts getting like numb and you get used to it.
Yeah, you get into a groove, you know.
Yeah.
You kind of fall into your own little thoughts or whatever.
You play some trippy music too though. Like you had like some crazy like tribal music going on when I was there. Like it was
Okay,
some interesting stuff.
probably the Who or something.
I can't remember what it was, but it had some crazy like drums and like it was a little darker and like
Oh,
chanting and stuff. It was something interesting. You were
I
like,
might have
yes.
been into Vikings or
Yeah, it
something
was some
at that
Viking
day.
shit for sure. That's what it was. Yeah, it was some Viking shit for sure.
Yeah, I'm always listening to something crazy.
But it was pretty interesting. It was funny to.
Yeah, I try and find new stuff all the time.
Yeah.
So
Do you find that helps you like get into a groove? The music that you're listening to.
yeah, I sometimes I'll try and find something that is you know, like I have flower music when I'm making flowers. I have,
What the fuck is flower music?
I don't know. Anything
You just
that's
you know
like,
what? This makes me think of flowers. This is some
it's
flower
like-
music.
Yeah, anything that makes you think of going through a meadow or something. You know, and
Oh, man.
if you're doing something a little harder, you know, you want something.
Yeah,
that,
you're doing some like skulls. You want some
Yeah,
fucking death
yeah.
metal. Ah.
yeah, death metal, or you know, maybe some Viking music
Right.
going into war. You know, going into battle.
What's your favorite thing to tattoo?
Ah, man, my favorite thing to tattoo. You know what? I don't really have a favorite thing to tattoo, but I have favorite, like, I guess the thing that I like to do is when they really, like, creating a piece that people really love, and that will help change who they are in their life, and
It's something that has like significance to them.
yeah, something that, yeah, and honestly, it doesn't really have to be all that big to do that.
Right, yeah.
So,
Obviously, yeah. I mean, sometimes it's just like a little thing as a reminder of someone or little symbols and stuff like that.
You know what? I did literally just as a little boy floating, like holding strings to birds, and it's like some book or whatever. And
Yeah, I can see it really bad.
some book or whatever. Yeah, it made a whole lot. But you know what? She was, she was in her 70s when she got her first tattoo. That was her first and only tattoo. Yeah.
Man, that's got to come with its own challenges, right? The skin texture and everything's way different when you're older, right?
Oh, yeah. It's a little different.
It probably takes different, too.
Yeah. Yeah, it even looks different as you're tattooing. It's a little scary sometimes.
Was that like uncharted territory for you? How many 70-year-olds have you tattooed?
Oh gosh, man, I don't know. I've tattooed probably hundreds, maybe.
Really?
Like everybody asks, "Oh, what are you gonna do when you're old and wrinkly and sagging?" It's like, well, probably figure out what the next tattoo is.
So that was her first tattoo, right?
But that was her first.
So what made her at 70 decide to get a tattoo? Like, look, I'm imagining someone that's 70 getting tattooed is already got tattoos.
I think there was like a bunch of things that were going on in her life that kind of made her want a tattoo and got into it. Plus, she's probably, it's familiar. She sees it around, and her excuse to me was, why not?
Right.
I'm 70-something years old.
Fuck it, yeah. I mean, at that point, right? Fuck it.
Yeah,
What are you gonna do when you're old in that tattoo? I'm already old, fucker.
And it's funny because, like, she's such an iconic woman anyway, because she's always doing something for the city and for other people, yeah. And it's kind of funny because her tattoo has actually became a part of that for her.
That's cool.
It opens up conversation to people that normally wouldn't happen. And also too, it's a book that a lot of other people would have read. So you end up making a new friend with familiarity. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about. And that's cool. So, and you never know where that's going to go.
Right.
And especially with somebody with how much effort and work she puts into the communities, something like, someone like that with something like that, it's a big deal. It's important,
That's cool. And along that note, like, I don't know. I've always heard like, oh, don't go and pick the flash art. Tattoo artists hate when you pick the flash art.
I don't mind flash art.
No?
Nah, you can
For anybody unfamiliar with tattoos out there, flash art is like when you go in there and they got the books of tattoos that are like pre-drawn ideas. That's flash art.
Yeah, dude. People, I do my own thing. People ask me to do my own thing.
That was flash art, but then he just did shading. It was supposed to be solid black, and he was like, "No, dude, don't do solid black. Do something different."
Do something different.
Yeah, I was like, "All right, go for it." But but that was flash art.
Yeah, dude. People get the same stuff all the time, and that's fine with me. That doesn't bother me at all. I don't sit there and go, "Oh,
it's their life, right?"
Yeah. The only thing that I really won't do is anything that's like anything that's too sacrilegious, like or racist. You know what I mean? Or like
someone comes in and they're like, dude, swastikas around my heart.
Yeah, no gang symbols per se, like no gang badges. I'm not in a gang, so I don't do gang badges.
You get requests though, don't you?
No.
No? Did you down an email?
Nah, not really. No. Some racist stuff, but not too bad. Yeah, not like bad.
I feel like those are happening with they're having a party and they're doing that at their house.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I had a guy I had a guy come in and he wanted a swastika, and I was like, all right, well, what religion are you, man? And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, yeah, well, what religion are you? Are you Buddhist? Are you?
I was wondering if you're gonna go there with that.
And because originally that's where swastika comes from.
Right, and it has like actually great meanings behind it, not being a symbol for hate.
Yeah, and if you're
the Nazis took that and perverted it for their
if you're getting it for religious purposes, by all means, I don't want to be the one that gets in the way of that. I'm gonna do it perfect. But he was like, oh, it's because of my German heritage, and I'm like,
fuck, I'm German. I don't want no swastika on me. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't think I could do that. I got Jewish family members. I got a mom that's alive that would be disappointed. I'm not,
I don't want to have to go home and get the I'm disappointed in you.
Yeah, I'm not here to do that. And
oh man,
I was like, well, he's like, well, before the Germans made it a bad symbol, it was a symbol of strength and blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, well, short of giving you a history lesson.
Right.
I was like, if I told you looked very gay today, you'd probably take offense to that, right? He didn't smile after that. And then he's like, yeah, I think I would. And I was like, well, shit, man, 50 years ago, that just meant...
You were happy.
You were a happy dude.
Right. You look like you're happy.
Yeah, but you wanted to bring it there, so here we are. And then he just stood there for a second, and he's like, so, is that a no? And I'm like, yeah, man. That's no.
Wow. It takes a lot for some people to get a hint, but that's crazy. Like, that's the situations I'd be like, man, what the fuck? Like, yeah.
Yeah, you get them. It doesn't happen too often, and a lot less now than it was 10 years ago, I think.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think, I think now lately with all the awareness of people, like, going, oh,
yeah,
maybe I shouldn't say
that.
Like, and I think a lot of what feeds some of that stuff is that people were just kind of like, oh, it's not that big of a deal.
Right.
Why should
I
it
think
matter,
I think that is probably still happening. It's just more in the privacy of their own home because someone taking the or like I said, like the tattoo parties, or something, like their buddy that does tattoos, it's already in that belief system already, is the one doing them. Yeah. Have you ever done those tattoo parties? Is that something that you would do, or what's the thought about that in the community?
So they made tattoo parties in houses illegal. I want to say like maybe 6 or 7 years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it really hasn't been illegal for very long.
Right.
You know what I mean? And even then, I'm not even exactly sure.
And that's got to be because of like health codes and all that shit, right? I mean,
yeah, of course, right?
Because like a tattoo actual shop is all regulated. I mean, you see these guys are gloves and fucking plastic over their guns and over their tools and stuff. Like
yeah. So the.
Because that shit scared the hell out of me. I was like, dude, I'm not getting a tattoo at someone's fucking house. Get out of here.
Yeah, that can be scary. I've never actually tattooed in a house. I know a lot of other artists have. I just never had to. And it's a lot of work setting up all your stuff. And then, like, my chair is heavy. I'm
right.
Carrying
because you want to be, like, dude. Max comfort when you're doing it, right?
Yeah, I'm a skinny dude. I ain't lugging that thing everywhere. No way. And besides, I got a nice big room, and
and you got it all styled out the way, all your stuff, where everything is.
Yeah, I got heat, I got, air if I need air, I got everything I need right there. Why would I go anywhere else?
Yeah, it was such a weird like trend that just popped up,
but you know what? Conventions are like tattoo parties. Yeah, that's the level of tattoo party I like. If I'm going to go to a tattoo party, I'm going to go to a tattoo party.
Right.
For like 3 days.
I think that's actually the first time I talked to you is someone had, I was talking to you about working at one of the conventions doing magic or something for one of them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think that was like the first time I ever talked to you. And that was like,
I
was like fucking like 10 years ago at least or more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really love.
Because there's a huge one that comes to Detroit.
Yep. Yeah. So we actually fund that one. We're the sponsors for the Motor City Tattoo Convention, and yeah, thousands of people come.
I've always wanted to go to one of those, and I've never been able to make it down.
Yeah, there's like 300 artists there, and they're all tattooing, and it's like the world's best.
And they're tattooing there, so you could go to this convention and get a tattoo from one of these world's best tattoo artists.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, or their
that's
apprentices
kind of cool.
Open. The world's best is usually booked for a year or two.
Yeah, in advance, right?
Yeah,
they're planning that shit out.
Yeah, and if you're not paying a couple grand for the day, you're probably not getting inked.
Wow.
But
wow.
Yeah, but the other guys, there's like they're apprentices, which by any means are no
joke either.
No joke
right.
either. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of really good guys there that are available, and a lot of new talent coming in, and a lot of local talent and talent from, it might be a chance to meet the guy from Japan, or it might be, from France. We get people from France and Italy and everywhere, all around the world.
Do you see tattooing's popularity, especially it might be harder to see when you go to a convention because that's specifically for it, but to me it felt like maybe 20-ish years ago, getting tattoos or having tattoos was kind of looked down on, it was gangster trouble.
Yeah.
It was trouble, a troublemaker, oh, they got a tattoo, they probably do drugs and they're fucking doing this and that and shit and swing or whatever. And then it started becoming way more popular in the mainstream, right? Way more and more people getting them. Now you can go to offices, the office that I work in, I'll see people with whole sleeves and stuff. So it's become way more normal. So it did feel like there was an uptick.
Yeah.
But now that it's normal, has it felt like the amount of people coming in consistently that are not regulars, not someone that's already got tattoos, but new people coming in fresh, has that seemed to drop off because it's become so common now?
No, I don't see it dropping off, at all. In fact, I see it blowing up even more because honestly, there's a shop
there does seem to be more
every couple
up.
miles,
Right.
There's a new shop and I'm number 945 in Oakland County. So
really?
That means and they're already at they told me that they were at 1,400, something like that. And those are licensed for how many licenses are in Oakland County, and that's just Oakland County alone.
Wow. So
there's quite literally, when I say there's thousands, I mean there is quite literally
That's
thousands
crazy.
of artists all over Michigan.
Now, how much of that do you think is maybe a group or something, artists that bounce between multiple shops? I mean, that's something that happens too, right? You might be at this shop here a couple days, this shop there a couple days.
Yeah, that happens. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't personally see a whole lot of that. But I'm sure there's lots of it. Yeah, because there's artists that there's artists that are really good and maybe they got other things in their life, whatever, and they just need a spot for a day or two or for the week, and then they stay there and they find a spot where they can either rent or they have friends or whatever it is.
Yeah, because I've seen some just come and go, and it's did they close or did they just move or?
Yeah. Well, some people travel states too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Some people are here in Michigan, the on season is, between these months and this month.
And they'll just do a pop-up for those 2 months?
Yep, and those pop up for a few months. And then there's times where, we got a guy that goes to Alaska, I
want to go to Alaska.
Right.
Oh, man. I've been looking at land all over the place, including Alaska.
That's a good spot. But he'll make $1,200 a day, $1,500 a day.
Wow.
And it's because there's nothing else to do except drink and get tattoos apparently.
And hunt. That's what I want. I'm looking for land to hunt. I'm seriously, I've been looking up north for years, up north Michigan, and I found some good spots. We put an offer in on one, but like I'm looking for like 20 acres or something, you know. So like an idea, 20 acres up here or like up by like Higgins Lake where I'm looking, because it'll be for more than just hunting. It'd be for like camping in the summer. I've got the
Yeah.
boat so that we can go to the lake and stuff. You know, like I'm looking for all these other things too. But hunting's one of them, and 20 acres is like $40,000
Yeah.
up north, you know, or more.
Yeah.
Dude, 20 acres out west in like Colorado and in Arizona and stuff, 20 acres is like $5,000, $15,000. I'm like,
Yeah.
holy shit. So, so that's what I was looking at, but like Alaska would be one of those too.
Michigan's one of the more pricier states, and we keep it that way so we can keep our lands.
Yeah. You know what's crazy is Texas. Texas is almost 100% privately owned.
Yeah.
Where like there's other states that are like 50%. Like I think Utah or maybe it's South Dakota, North Dakota, one of those is like 50% state owned, 50% private. But
Yeah.
Texas is totally private. That's crazy.
Well, that's what happens when you have a state full of billionaires.
Right? They just buy every fucking up.
Yeah, they
Buy it all up.
Yeah, they just buy everything all up, and they're like, "Well, this is my state and my land, so can we just like not be America anymore?"
Right? Yeah.
Can we just be
no,
Texas?
yeah. It's crazy, but they also have like great hunting. Like,
Yeah.
you can get all kinds of licenses over the counter. That's the other part that I've been looking into is like, what tag can I get over the counter versus a drawing? So like here is a lottery for bear in Michigan, and it's a
okay.
lottery for elk because there's not a huge elk population. There's a much bigger bear population than elk population.
Right.
But it's a lottery. So, but what Michigan does for bear at least is if you enter consecutively for so many years, then you'll automatically get it this one year. So it's like
nice.
guaranteed you're going to get it after so many years consecutively
that's
of
pretty
not
cool.
getting it. So,
Yeah, because you pay into it either way.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
you got to pay that. You're paying that fee to apply for it.
Yeah.
And they're I don't know how much the Michigan license is. I know for out of state hunters, shit gets expensive. Like,
Yeah.
because there's a huge fee for being an out of state hunter.
Well, and honestly, I don't see a problem with that. You know, it again, it helps keep our state lands. Lands.
Yeah. Well, it's yeah, for sure, because
Yeah.
there's a huge like, oh yeah, keep it open to the public so everyone can go.
Yep.
You know, that part sucks when like there's not a lot of good state land around you. Then it's like, oh man, where am I gonna go? I gotta know someone with some property. You know,
Yep.
yeah, it's crazy. What are your stance? You have you ever hunted or not for it or?
So I used to hunt with my dad, but we never caught anything.
No, never.
No,
I've never caught anything either. I've shot a few
never.
things, but I've never caught anything.
Never-
I make
never
fun of my
shot
girlfriend because
anything
she
either.
says that. My girlfriend's like, "Oh, did you catch anything?" I was like, "No, that's not the point."
Just a cold.
Yeah. So you went when you were younger?
Yeah, I used to go when I was younger. Now I just I hike and I enjoy. Me and my daughters will go out and we'll see how many deer we can
Yeah.
find and see how many animals we can find. That's about as far as hunting as
Yeah.
we go. But
Just some sight hunting. Okay.
yeah,
No.
yeah, it's yeah, I'm not a big hunter.
It's weird. Like I used to go hunting with my stepdad when I was younger, like 10 to 13ish, and then I like was out of it, like just didn't care.
Yeah.
And then man, what was it? It was probably around 12 to 13 years ago. We were replacing the roof of my grandma's barn. Now my uncle is a huge hunter.
Yeah.
Like fuck. Now I could say he probably hunts more than he works. Like he seems like he's always going somewhere to go hunting. It's funny. But he like lives for it. He just loves it, you know, and he goes to other states to go hunt and stuff like that. And so I was helping do the roof of the barn and he got me a new bow. And I was like, man, I haven't shot a bow in forever. So then I started shooting the bow and was like, you know, I'm gonna fucking go hunting again. And now, man, it's been like off to the races. And I watched Meat Eater on Netflix. I don't know if you ever saw that show.
No.
But it's with this guy, Steve Rennell. And what's really cool, Rennella, I think is his last name. What's really cool is like, besides just like the hunting, like they do the hunting, like he shows like processing the meat and like cooking up some good food. And it's more about like the being responsible for the meat that you're eating instead of like this meat that comes from factories where it's bred only to be slaughtered and they're pumped full of crap. Like you're
Yep.
just taking responsibility for the meat for you and that you are going to eat and for your family, and that's all that like they exclusively eat is game meat. They get vegetables and stuff like that, but like he doesn't go to the store to buy meat. And I was just like, man, that kind of really resonates with me now, especially like everything I see, man. Just it feels like all these corporations just don't give a fuck at all, and no one gives a fuck, and they're just pumping all kinds of shit into the food to make and this. Not to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but there's a lot of shit.
No,
it's crazy when you can go to other countries and the packaging will show the ingredients and it'll be like 5 things, and you come to America and it's like 25 things because of all the extra shit we put in stuff.
Yeah. I mean, well, not only that, but those 5 things in other countries that are listed, they might not have to list all the other stuff.
True.
Too. There's that.
True.
Because a lot of that stuff that is coming over here that has like a million things in it is coming from that same country.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, but
well, that's like here. It can be
right.
it can say natural ingredients, and like literally can be anal glands from animals, and because it's a natural ingredient. That's all they have to put is natural ingredient.
Right. I mean, technically, bleach is mined. You can pull that out of the ground
right.
too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
but for me, that was like kind of the outlook of it. I don't get me wrong. I enjoy nature. I had this awesome experience the other day, actually. A barn owl, dude. I go out in the woods, and I was up north, and I was hunting on my mom's friend's property, and she has like 5 to 10 acres, and I had built a ground blind earlier in the day, and so I came out there that evening. And I was sitting in the ground blind. It's like sticks and stuff, and just chilling. And her woods are pretty open. Like it's there's a good canopy, but like not barely much underbrush and stuff. So you can see pretty good through all the trees.
Nice.
And as the light started getting darker, I noticed like this flash off in the distance, and I was like, man, that looked like a big fucking wing. That was probably an owl or something, or an eagle. And sure enough, like I don't know, half an hour, 45 minutes later, I saw some motion. And I'm looking around, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? So I get my binoculars out, and he's like sitting on a branch just looking right at me. And I'm like, oh, shit.
Yeah, he
and then
saw
I was
you.
like, I'm like, he's looking right at me, and I'm like, oh, fuck. Like, I don't know if these things get territorial and it's going to attack me or what. So, like, I had this stick for setting my gun on because it was gun season for deer, to set my gun on so I can help steady it when I shoot. And I was like, all right, I got this like right here. If it flies at me, I'm grabbing this fucking stick to like fend it off. And dude, it was totally silent, but I mean, like it sat there looking at me, and then it just glided to like another branch, and it came closer, like way closer. It flew to this tree, was like half cut down, like just, and it was like no branches, nothing. So it was like a fucking pole out in the middle of the woods, and he just landed right on top of it, and he's like looking right at me.
Yeah,
and
he was checking you out.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh fuck, so I was just sitting there, and then I'm like, all right, well, I'm still gonna be here hunting, so I'm like turning around, and it was funny. I turned, and at one point, I think it shit because I heard a noise from Mr. And I mean, I fucking freaked out, like turned so fast.
Was it a loud fart?
I think he took a shit. I mean, owls, I gotta imagine shit pretty big compared for the size of their body.
Yeah.
And, well, owl pellets. If you ever dissected one of those in elementary school,
throw those up.
Yeah, I think they might. Who knows? But dude, it was and he was just chilling there, and then he flew closer, and he flew to a branch that was like maybe 15 feet above me, and just sat there, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm still hunting. And he chilled. He was there for like 20 to 30 minutes just hanging out, looking around. And I mean, he'd look at me, and I'd look at him, and I'd look around, he'd look around, and it was like my like kindred.
He's your hunt
buddy.
spirit.
Yeah, it was like my hunting spirit, I was like, this is my spirit animal right now. Fuck, this is awesome. Nice. And then he tried to hoo, and the first one must have been like clearing his throat because that shit came out bad. It scared the shit out. I was like, what the fuck was that? And it scared the shit out of me. And then the next one was like, woo, it was cool. It was really cool. Neat. So he sat there hooing a couple times and stuff, and then he finally just flew off.
Oh, that's
I didn't see any
awesome.
deer, but it was pretty cool. But the other part was, I was in bear country. There's black bear up there, and so when he started hooing, the first thing that went through my head is like, maybe he sees something and he's trying to fucking warn me, his hunting buddy. So then I'm like, oh yeah, I'm in bear country, and I'm still looking around because I'm sitting on the ground. I wasn't up in a tree or anything. So
yeah, you won't hear that.
I'm looking around like, oh, I hope there's no bear. Yeah. Dude, they're quiet. I mean,
they're quiet. They're hard to see too when they're all black.
Amazingly. So I do have a bear in the freezer.
Oh, nice.
From Canada, and that it was like I heard it coming, but that was only because like it snapped one stick. And I looked, and I was looking, and it's crazy because when you're in the woods and there's all the shadows and stuff, it makes them hard to see, and especially in dense vegetation. And then all of a sudden, I saw black, and I was like, and then it was like a lot of black, and I was like, oh shit, it's a fucking bear. Yeah, that shit was intense. That was one of the most intense moments of my life.
Yeah, when you're hunting down a apex predator, that's scary because, you know, that first shot is crucial because if you don't get it right, it might come get you. It might,
and that was the other dimension, right? Like and it's funny because I've told this story. I don't know, probably on here, but like it was when you go deer hunting, like your heart starts pounding when you see a deer that you might potentially shoot. Yeah. You know, if you see a buck, like my heart races when I see any deer because I'm like, all right, how much can I fool this fucking animal? Yeah. You know, like that's because I'm like, I want to see. So, side tangent story. I was sitting back when you could bait, and my uncle would put bait out. So I was hunting by the bait pile, and I'm sitting there on a chair, and a doe comes in, and I wasn't gonna shoot a doe. I haven't shot a deer ever yet. Actually, I have a bear, but I've never got a deer because I'm waiting to get a buck, and I'm waiting to get at least. I might go down to 4 points now. I'm trying for like 6 or more, right? If I can, I'll take a 4-pointer if it's a big enough 4-pointer. But so anyway, this doe comes in, so I wasn't gonna shoot it. So I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna see how long I can sit here and see how close this deer will get. And dude, it knew I was fucking there. It knew it still came, but it knew I was there because it was testing me. That thing, like, it took a step in, and I'm sitting there as motionless as I can, right? And my heart's thudding, and it's looking at me, and it would be like, it would like look down and then look up real quick, like trying to catch me. You know, it put its nose down and look up, and then it started fucking hitting the ground, like digging up on the ground and shit, like trying to get a reaction out of me. And then when it finally didn't, I mean, and this probably, dude, it felt like it took forever. I mean, it was realistically, maybe 5 minutes of it just trying to fucking fool me, trying to get a reaction. And it was hilarious. I'm like, dude, this thing is fucking looking down and then trying to be like, psych, and catch me, you know?
Get you now.
Yeah, so I'm sitting there just as motionless as I can, and I'm like kind of laughing. I'm like, this is fucking crazy. Then the fawn came out, so it had a baby with it. Oh, wow. So the fawn came out to eat with it. So they're eating, and I was like, all right, hi. And that mother jumped and was gone. That doe took off so fast.
What happened to the fawn?
The fawn was like, and then took off running. I was like, dude, that mother said, fuck you, kid, and was gone, dude. That deer was like, survival of the fittest, bitch. It left that baby behind.
Nature's sacrifice.
It was hilarious just because, like, all that moment, and then that's all I did is just said hi, and that mother was gone, dude. It was crazy. Oh, it was funny. So, like, I've never got a buck, but there's been a couple times that I've seen one. So, I did have a couple years ago where I was bow hunting, and my range of accuracy is like 20 yards. I'm accurate. Like, my grouping of arrows are really close together with a bow. Yeah. 30 yards, I'm still pretty good accurate. But I saw a good buck come in, and I wasn't sure how far away it was. And when you're in a tree, it really fucks with like your perspective and your sense of how far away things are. And I saw it, and I was like, dude, I don't know if that's 20. I don't know how far away that is. So I didn't take a shot. And when I got down later and I walked over to where I saw it, I was like, that was fucking far away. Yeah. And so now what I have is a rangefinder. I just got one this year specifically for that. So when I see a deer, it's like a monocle, you know, one fucking binocular, but monocle, whatever. It's one fucking thing. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to sit here and try to say this word for 5 minutes. But basically put it to your eye. You target whatever you're looking at, and then you hit a button, and it shoots a laser out and back, and it tells you how far away it is.
Holy cow. That's pretty cool.
So now that way, like the stand that I hunt at my grandma's property, there's these 2 trees. And I know the one tree is 12 yards away, and I know the other tree is 39.54 yards away. So I know that that's 40, and there's 12, so I can guess about where 20 and where about 30 is. So I know if a deer walks into this zone, and it's one that I can shoot, I know I've got it. So this one I didn't. I'm glad I didn't take the shot because I wasn't sure. So I've never been able to get a buck. But the bear, I mean, that was like,
That was
so a
exciting.
buck comes in and your heart starts racing because you're like, oh shit, this could be the one I'm gonna shoot. The bear was that. Oh shit, it's a bear. But then it was like, oh shit, it's a bear. like
That thing could eat me.
So yeah, so it was, and black bear can climb trees
Yeah.
really fucking well. And let's really frame this story in the mental state that I was in. Right before we left to go, so we stayed in this place in Canada. It was an island in a lake, right? So everywhere we stayed was actually on an island. We hunted the mainland. So there's the bear barge and fucking crazy. There's this door on the beach, and you close the door to let them know that you're here, so they can send someone with the boat to come get you, because they can see the door from the island with binoculars, and you can see
nice.
it with the naked eye pretty well too. And at night, there's a light that you put on so they can see the light. But like, it's this cool island place, right? All these little cabins and stuff. I mean, it was real fucking rustic. The shower was a sauna. Like, you went into a sauna and they had pots of water that were sitting on top of the fireplace that heated the whole thing, the sauna and everything. And like, you took ladled hot water on you and then, washed up and rinsed off, ladling more water. It was like really rustic. It was cool.
Oh, that is really cool.
It was really neat. So then, and it was beautiful, man. But so then we would go hunt the mainland. So right before we left, I'm like, I'm not shitting in the woods. So I was like, I'm going to go take a shit. I'm going to try to get this out, make sure I don't have to go to the bathroom. We were leaving at I think 3 or 4. And this is back in August or September time. But it get dark around 8 o'clock, I think it was. 7:30. I think it was 8 o'clock was when it got dark. So I'm reading this in the huts. They got magazines and shit, and there's a hunting magazine talking about black bears. I'm reading it, and this article is all about how black bears are way smarter than people give them credit for, how there's been stories of ones that were wounded, like doubling back and basically setting ambushes on the hunter that was chasing them and stuff. And I'm like, fuck, I'm reading about these crazy black bears, and now I'm about to go out there. So my mind was like, oh shit, these bears are nuts. So when I got dropped off, most times I go hunting, my gun stays in the case till I get to where I'm hunting at, and then I'll tie the case up in the tree with me or wherever I'm at. No, this was locked and loaded, safety off, walking out into the woods with my gun out because I don't know if I'm going to, scare up a bear. And so, yeah, you see the bear come and you're like, oh shit, there's a bear. I might be shooting a bear because I'm seeing a fucking bear. Second, it's, oh shit, I hope this bear doesn't see me, because if it does, there's a chance it could, and especially if it's a mother with a cub, it could come at you, and they can climb really fast. So I was like, fuck.
And they
so
can run at 30 miles an hour.
So there was
faster.
that danger part of it too that was like, oh shit, and it came in. It checked where I had walked in, because where I had to walk to get to the tree stand, went through where the bear was going to come through, where the food was, and got up in the tree. And yeah, so it came and smelled where I had walked. It was walking all around the tree and stuff. It stood up and smelled the tree. And one of the things is there's this barrel with food. So it was it's a bait spot. And what it is they put dog food and stuff in there. They feed the bears through the winter, and it keeps them fat and stuff, and actually keeps them from starving. And it's supposed to help promote bigger bears, and I mean it's a business, right? And it is, but it's neat, and there's so many of them. That was part of the day part, was running and checking which ones have been hit, so which spot has some activity to maybe go see one. And so it checked all that stuff, and I could tell by the bear compared to the barrel of how big it was. And that was the other thing they said. If it's below the middle band, don't shoot it. Not a good bear. If it's between the second and the top, that's a good sized bear. If it's above the barrel, shoot that bear. Right? That was the whole system. So I got a good shot. I could see how big this bear was. So I knew it was a good one. It came in and checked, and then it sat down and it pulled the barrel over and it just started scooping out food with its hand and just eating it. And scooping stuff out and eating it, and it would look around. And I wanted to look at it through my scope, because I was looking at it from my bare eye, my eyes. So I picked up my gun, and it squeaked like the foam. And that thing looked around, was like, see you later. and started walking, but kind of moseying its way out. And I was like, fuck. And then it came back. And I was like, oh, and then it circled around again and tried to check, and then started looking at stuff. And then it got up and it was starting to walk past this tree. And I just kind of set up and aimed, and I let it walk right into my crosshairs. And when it did, when I shot, I could see it hit it, and it took off and it ran. But I saw a red spot where it hit, and it took off and ran. And it was just like, fuck. I sat there, I spent all this time heart beating, being quiet. And then it was like, I can finally speak, and it was all I could say was, fuck, dude, you just shot a bear. You just shot a, holy shit, holy fuck, you just shot a bear, fuck. You know? So then the guide had said, if you don't hear the death moan, don't go after it. I didn't hear shit. My heart was pounding so loud. So I was like, I'm not going out there. So then another bear comes in like an hour later. So I shot at 6. It gets dark around 8. I shot at 6. Maybe it was 8:30 it got dark, because I think it was like right around 8 o'clock when the bear came in. It was starting to get low light, and this other bear comes in. It was a littler one, you know, comes in, starts eating, and sniffed where the blood was, and it ate stuff. And I'm like, I gotta get the fuck out of this tree. It's getting dark. I gotta leave. You know, I gotta get to the road and get the guys so we can go look for my bear. And it finally left, dude. I crawled out. I had my knife out. I was banging on the stand, making noise and stuff to try to scare it away. But that was like the most intense walk of my life, because I had like the flashlight underneath the barrel and my headlamp on, and I'm like, I know there's a pissed off bear, and I know there's another one that just went up the hill, man. And I'm out here, and the grass I had to walk through is like Jurassic Park, the second movie, The Lost World.
So
Stay
they
out
could
of the
be
tall
like
grass.
there.
You know, that's what I had to fucking walk through. Like literally, that's what went through my head when I went out, was like, this is like fucking Jurassic Park. And so I'm just like spinning around, and
It's
I'm
hard
watching
to
the
see
woods
through that too. You can't.
Yeah. And I was walking the field in the wood like line. There was like this little ravine, so I was kind of walking around it, and I'm just like spinning and looking and spinning. I'm like, oh, you know, just to make sure. And then I got to the street, to the road, and I got dropped off by like a 4-wheeler. So I'm like, dude, I gotta wait here for someone to come pick me up. And I could hear cars and stuff starting up, like the other hunters. I could hear their vehicles starting. And then you hear them driving. But because all this stuff is like, these trails are all crazy, like they could be not that far away from you, but they got to go so far away. So you hear like the motor go, get closer and farther and closer. So I'm standing here the whole time just spinning around like, where the fuck is bear, you know? And then when we all got together, it was funny. One guy was like, anybody else see anything? And the other guy's like, no, because some asshole's shooting at 6 o'clock in the afternoon, you know, 6 p.m., scaring all the other bear out of the area. Oh, it was mean. And, but yeah, it took a while to track it and stuff, and it ended up being Canada. You take a tooth out, and they'll age it, and you get like a stamp and paperwork from Canada and stuff. It was a 9-year-old black bear. It was a female. It had produced cubs before. There was no cubs with it. Like, I waited a long time. Like, the lady and the husband that ran the place were like, you did a good job. You're a good hunter. Like, you waited and made sure there was, I watched that thing for a while to make sure no cubs were going to come in. Like that deer, that doe with the fawn, you know?
Yeah, she was messing around, waiting for
right. So yeah, I ended up being 9 years old. I spent a day, like, we brought it back that night. We found it. It took a while. And then let it cool down overnight. And the next day I spent the whole day skinning it and processing all the meat myself, trimming it and stuff. I donated a big fucking roast to the whole camp to eat.
Oh, that's cool.
So it was cool. So the lady, I mean, this old couple that run this place, that own it and stuff, like, they've been trapping out there since they were kids in elementary school. Like, they've lived there their whole life in this wilderness, and then they bought this island because it happened to fall on one of their trap lines. So like, they've lived out in the bush their whole lives. Their son is like one of the biggest landowners in Canada or something. He owns this giant ranch that they film all these TV shows and movies on. So wow. Yeah, it's really cool. And like, but to see their beginnings, like, their son's achieved all this nonsense. Like, he flew in on a fucking plane and landed in the lake and picked his mom up, and they went and flew to different lakes to go fishing. She brought all this fish back. But like, that's what he did. He just picks her up in the fucking plane. Like, that's you know. But to see that it came from these two people that live on this island year round, and that's what they do, is they hunt and they trap for their food, and and they run this lodge. It was a crazy experience.
Yeah, you like it. Yeah, you like that kind of put it in perspective of your health and what type of animals you want to eat.
For sure, definitely. Cool. I mean, dude, this old man, it was hilarious. I was moving big, because everything out there runs on propane. Right. So like, when you go into one of the cabins, they got a big propane tank outside, and like, all your lights are propane lights. You know, turn them on, light them, and then that's what lights up. And it was funny, like, it was chilly at night, but just the one light burning, like, kept that place warm, because it's all log cabins and shit. But the fridge runs on propane, like, everything runs on propane. That's cool. And I was moving these ones for the big lodge, and And this old man, dude, was like, and I think he was in his 80s, and he's fucking manhandling these things around. He was giving me a hard time, yelling, like, oh, you're doing it wrong and stuff. And I was like, dude, I used to dolly everything. They call me the Dalai Lama. That's what we used to say at work. And but it's crazy just how tough these old folks are.
Yeah, well,
you know,
stop
nuts.
moving, you start dying.
Yeah. So, but she made this. She took the roast and made this great roast, and we all had bear for dinner that night.
Oh, that's
like,
awesome.
Fresh roast. Yeah, it was cool. And then I just took the skin into the taxidermist to do a rug. And I've got the skull in my freezer, and I've got some of the meat left over. I might make some jerky or something. But I did jerky. Cool. I did steaks. I got like 15 pounds maybe now of sausage in the fridge.
Nice.
I got Italian, and then I've got like breakfast sausage.
That's a big bear then.
It was around 310 to 320 live weight.
Wow.
So it weighed around like 280, 290 once it was gutted.
Yeah, that's a lot of bear.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was crazy, man. That was an experience. I've never butchered an animal, and it was
that's
cool.
A big
though.
Animal to butcher.
Yeah, and it was crazy. The process is nuts. Like, and to try to skin it and like to keep the skin intact.
It's like,
I mean,
tough.
Dude, that fucking hide itself felt like it weighed 40 pounds, 50 pounds. Because when I had it in my freezer, I mean, it froze, so I had some water probably froze in there too. But it was the whole hide with the paws, like they were still in there, the bones and everything, and the skull still in there. And that shit weighed a ton. Yeah, it was heavy.
Yeah,
and we rolled it up like a rug and froze everything, and yeah, it was just such a crazy experience. It was nuts.
Yeah, I've never done a hunting trip like that.
It was crazy.
That would be pretty cool.
It was crazy. So now, like I said, I've been looking for land up north, but now I'm looking for land out west because I'm like, I want to go fucking like get an elk. That'll put food in the freezer for like half a year with my family. Get like an elk or a moose or,
that would be
sweet. I mean, they got moose in Michigan too, but again, it's this drawing system.
Drawing system.
I think Colorado in certain areas has over-the-counter licenses for elk because they have the country's largest population.
Go to Montana.
Yeah, Montana too.
Have nice.
Yeah, so I've been looking all over there, and like I said, it's so cheap. But Alaska was one of them. You know.
We saw a moose in Montana. When we
really?
went on vacation. That was pretty cool. That was impressive.
I've never seen a moose. When we went to Canada, my uncle was like, "You see any moose? You see any?" Like that's what he was looking for, was a fucking moose. Like the whole time when we were driving, he was like, "Do you see a moose? Do you see any moose?" Yeah, it was hilarious.
Wow. Yeah, mooses they're big.
Yeah,
they're impressive.
I know,
looking.
Dude. There was a video that was online the other day of the two moose fighting in the guy's driveway.
Oh yeah, they're the size of the truck.
Yeah, it's fucking nuts.
Hanging out, fighting
fucking
in the street.
fighting. Yeah, it's crazy shit.
Cool.
Like that'd be nuts to see.
Yeah.
That'd be really fucking nuts because they're so huge.
Yeah,
they're so huge. It's crazy animals get that big.
You know? Yeah, I don't know. Well, they get even bigger. They got elephants. They got whales. Yeah, you ever see?
I know. I mean, it's just crazy. There's animals that big.
Yeah, I was watching a video the other day of these people swimming in like I don't know, like a little valley pool area. And anyway, there's these two big giant killer whales that swam right next to him, and the people on the cliff were like, "Move, go, swim, don't move, wait, just stay still,
dude."
and yeah, they swam right by him and didn't even bother him.
That's crazy because like you watch some documentaries, killer whales are fucking assholes. They drown baby whales to kill them. Yep. So they can like they're crazy.
They're smart. They've never killed anybody in the wild though.
Really?
Yeah, that's what Google said.
That's
what Google said.
That's what Google said. Oh man, that's the times, isn't it? Oh, that's crazy. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. You can watch stuff. They do things. They like ambush other animals, or like they'll send one to fake them out, and the other two are sneaking around behind them and shit. Like it's crazy what they do.
I was watching a documentary. They said they can kill anything and eat everything in the ocean is fine, and certain families like only hunt certain things. Like one will only hunt sea turtles and dolphins or whatever, and then the other ones.
Did you hear about them with the great whites?
No.
So great whites are often thought of like the apex predator of the ocean, and they're saying no, it's the killer whale because they notice this weird like pattern in the great white populations. I think it was around Hawaii. And they were like, oh, they'd be here. And then all of a sudden they would go, and they were like, they wouldn't come back for years. And they were trying to figure out what was happening. And it turned out the killer whales would show up. And when the years that the killer whales showed up, the great whites didn't come back for like 3 to 4 years afterwards.
Wow.
So like they stayed the fuck away.
Well,
And then they've been finding the great white sharks with their livers ripped out. And that's it. Just their livers ripped out.
Just the liver, huh?
And it turns out it's fucking killer whales killing the sharks specifically for their livers. That's it. That's
they're
all
just
they're
like,
eating off of. They're
need
just eating
some
the fucking livers
shark
and
liver.
leaving the shark. Yeah. So they're saying like, these killer whales are fucking up these great whites, and they're the top predator in the ocean. I mean, they drown those blue whales and humpback whales. The babies, they literally will get on top of it to prevent it from surfacing,
and drown them
and drown them so they can eat them. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, they
Fucking
were
killer whale. I ain't getting in the water with them.
Yeah, no, I'm good. Yeah, but for whatever reason, they don't kill humans.
Dude, look,
so.
there's fish that are half the size of me that I don't want to be in the water with.
Yeah, no, I'm cool, dude. I got stung by a jellyfish in South Carolina one time.
Really?
Oh my gosh, that was painful.
I got lucky. I didn't get stung by one.
Yeah.
But I picked one up.
Well, I used to pick them up off the beach. Yeah, or like smash them.
I never did that. I saw one jellyfish in my life, and I picked it up and threw it back in the water. I never thought to smash it.
Oh, dude, there was hundreds of them.
Really?
Yeah,
See, I only saw one. It was in Oregon.
Dude, yeah, the whole beach was littered
Oregon.
with. Yeah, they were just like, they looked like little rubber.
Yeah.
Little jelly.
I was like,
things,
Dad, what is that? And he's like, it's jellyfish. Don't touch it. So as soon as he turned around, I grabbed it and threw it.
Yeah.
I was like 8 years old.
Oh yeah, I was picking them up and seeing if they could stretch, and they don't stretch. No, they're pretty tough. Yeah, it's like a big
Isn't
piece
it such
of meat.
a weird fucking animal?
Yeah, it is, and it's clear.
Yeah,
you can't.
like, how the fuck does that work?
Where's
so
its
weird.
brain and its heart?
Yeah,
Why
right.
is it
Like, how
clear?
is this alive?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like
crazy.
this crazy, man. Those are, I mean, like what life it is.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Simple.
When I got stung, man, it was painful. But
Do you know what kind it was that stung you?
Yeah, it was actually a man of war.
Wow.
So it was.
Those are supposed to be bad.
Yeah. So man of war is not just like one jellyfish; it's a grouping of different types of like cell animals like that are.
Really?
Yeah. So it's not actually just one animal. It's actually different animals.
And
that
you got stung, and that shit just.
Oh, dude, I screamed. I cleared out the beach. I did a Jesus walk out of that.
Were you in the water?
I was in the water.
Okay.
Yeah, I was in the water swimming, and I kind of felt something, and I was like, "Oh, what the hell was that?" And then I was like, "Oh my God, it's biting me!" And I screamed that it was biting me. I was like, "Oh, it's biting me!" and dude, I took off. I just took off out of the water as fast as I could, screaming my head off. And because I had no idea, I just knew it hurt. I didn't know if I was bleeding. I didn't know anything. And everybody around me ran out of the water with me after I was like, "It bit me!" and I
dude, everyone must have been freaking out.
Oh my God, yeah, there had to be like 30 people that ran out of the water with me.
Yeah, I think due to Jaws, anytime anyone runs out of the water screaming something bit them.
Oh, and it was
everyone,
a pretty
mass panic. Get the fuck out.
Oh, I was panicking. It was a pretty high blood curdling scream.
Wow. Wow.
It hurt.
Jeez, that I can't imagine that. I just stay the fuck out of the ocean.
Yeah.
Look, I'll go on a boat. I went swimming in the ocean, like proper swimming in the ocean, once or twice over in Florida. My grandpa used to live down on the beach, and I went out there one time. And me and my aunt are in the water, and it was like super. The water was super cloudy, and she's like, "Yeah, we just had a storm come through. Normally, this water is crystal clear. It's not like this." And I was like, "Oh," and I'm like, "Ever have any shark attacks around here?" We're standing in water like up to our chest, okay? And if whatever the number is, like sharks can attack you in 3 feet of water. Well, we were well deeper than 3 feet of water, and I've seen those photos of like sharks just around everybody, and they don't know. And she's like, "Oh. Well, actually, there was like a couple attacks, like, 2-3 weeks ago. There was a couple people that were in the water. I was like, see ya. Get the fuck out of the water.
Yeah.
And I didn't get back in. I went another time in Miami. I went in the water, and but I was, probably more than 3 feet. And then I ended up getting out of the water. I was like, fuck this.
Yeah, we did a family vacation over on the East Coast over at Jersey Shore. And yeah, I took the girls out to the ocean for the first time, and
Yeah.
oh, they loved it. Yeah, they were.
It's cool, man. It's a cool experience,
Yeah.
and it's crazy to think how big that fucking body of water is. Like,
Yeah.
you're standing on water that's just like.
Well, we went out fishing for mackerel.
Oh, did you?
And yeah, we caught one of those sucker fish
Yeah.
that suck on the bottom of a shark.
Okay.
It was a
Pretty big.
it was pretty big sucker fish, and yeah, everybody was putting it on their hand. And it was like sticking to people's arms.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
it was crazy. It was a weird feeling, and yeah, my daughters. Yeah, we all got seasick though. It was bad. We were feeding the fish more than we were catching them.
Oh wow.
It was
Maybe
bad.
that was the secret sauce.
Yeah,
right?
one guy hooked a hammerhead. That was
Dude,
pretty
those
cool.
things get
Little guy.
crazy.
Yeah,
Those things get big.
Yeah, he lost it because I don't think he had like
Yeah.
the proper gear to actually pull
Because
this
they
thing
bite
in.
through a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Well, it was a small one though too.
You ever see those videos of people fishing? I think a lot of times they're up by like Jersey and stuff. They'll be fishing and pulling in a big fish, and then the hammerhead will swim up and take it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how he caught that one. He was on the other side of the boat when he caught it, but man, he had to he was spinning around
Wow.
trying to catch.
What
this
a
thing,
weird
but,
fucking fish.
Yeah,
A hammerhead. Like
Yeah.
that fucking design. What
that
the-
was pretty cool looking.
I mean, it's like that's like an alien looking thing.
Yeah.
Wow. We went when we went down to we went to Disney a couple years ago. We took the kids to Disney. It was funny. We surprised them. We didn't tell them at all. We packed the car while they were sleeping at night, and then we were leaving. I think on a Saturday. We told them we were driving to IKEA to make up for why it'd be
boy.
such a long drive. You know, we were gonna get Chastity, my daughter, a new bed, and we get to the airport and we're driving into the parking garage, and they finally like paid attention. Like, where are we? Why are we at the airport? And we're like, we're going to Disney, and they're like, oh, what? And then my daughter's like, what if we crash? And we're like, what the fuck?
What if we?
Yeah. So anyway, we go down to
It'll
Disney.
be a quick death. It's fine.
It's like, oh, you go from Disney to crash right away. So we went down and visited my aunt. She was living in Florida, and their neighbor is a charter fisherman. So that's what he does, the offshore fishing, like,
Oh, wow,
for a
yeah.
living. So he took us out one day, which was cool. It was really cool, man. It was rough. There was some fucking waters on the
Some big
what do
waves.
They call it the inshore or whatever. And it was nuts, dude. It was the intercoastal, that's what it's called. And it was beating the boat up, man, dude. Dylan was bouncing, I mean flying. It was
yeah.
hilarious. And then we trolled for a little bit. And well, first we went and caught our bait, which was crazy. He's like, I didn't have time to go to the store, but we'll go catch bait. And it was like, he had binoculars, and they're like, everybody, dude, it was all these boats. Like, I would have never thought you could get so many boats so close together and maintain control. Boats drift around and shit. They're a pain in the ass to drive close to other things. And everyone's fishing for bait. And he's like, just pay attention. If you see any that pull fish up, don't say anything. Just come walk over to me and tell me. And I was like, it's this fucking secretive about. And he's like, if you pull up fish, everyone will swarm where you're at. Like,
Yeah.
it was crazy. It was real crazy. So we got a couple and we got out of there. But yeah, we caught a bonita fish, which is like a false tuna is what they call them. And we caught a couple of those. We got to fight those in. We were heading to go shark fishing and use the bonita as bait. But then the storm started showing up.
Oh.
And we had, really had to outrun the storm.
Yeah,
It was
Oh,
crazy.
wow. That would be a little scary.
Dylan's pretty mad. He's like, I really wanted to see a shark.
Well, do you really want to live?
Yeah, right.
We'll
Fuck
see
that.
a shark after the boat sinks.
Yeah, right. You'll be seeing plenty of them.
I tattooed a pirate hunter, and yeah, she works for the Navy and she sinks pirate ships.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
And
What a title. I'm a fucking pirate hunter, bitch.
yeah, right. I'm like, I didn't even know we did that. I didn't
Right?
even know that was
That was a
thing
job
that-
title?
Yeah.
Where
like-
was that when I was in high school and they were talking about my future careers?
Right, like
Fucking pirate hunter.
A pirate hunter? You just go out and sink shit? Like, how often do you gotta do that? And she's like, oh yeah, all the time, And she said that with the battleship that they because they're out in the Caribbean, dude, there's schools of sharks that know and live by the boat because
Really? Because
Yeah.
it's so big and
Well,
probably...
because they sink the boats.
Oh,
they know that
yeah,
they're going to
yeah.
get fed.
Oh, wow.
It's literally a battleship that has man-eating sharks.
Wow, because they know this
it.
thing is gonna provide food. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's nuts. But animals learn. They learn
they're
that
smart.
shit.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Wow.
And you wouldn't think like, oh, this shark is, but that's how they do it. They know that they're gonna get fed once the boats sink.
That's pretty insane. But
that's
I mean,
hardcore.
it makes sense.
I'd be a little scared of a battleship that came in with man-eating sharks.
Right.
I'm like, crap.
That's crazy. Like you said, just being a fucking pirate hunter, that's a nuts job too.
Right.
Wow. So back to tattooing. After an hour-long hunting talk, what do you think of if someone wanted to get in tattooing? Like, what's the advice that you'd have for them?
My advice would be find an artist that you respect and that you want to learn from, and see what it takes to get in. And if they tell you no, figure a way to make it a yes.
Be persistent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that really is what it is.
What about like the machines and stuff? So you said you're using the orbital now, right?
Yeah, I use a rotary. Machine.
Rotary, that's what it was. Sorry. What was the reason for the switch? What's the difference between the two, and what do you think would be better for someone like, if someone was looking into getting into it, like the equipment to get, stuff like that?
So I find that the traditional machines are nice, but that gets into a lot of physics and maintenance, So the traditional machines that I have, they're actually my friend Fish, he made them in his garage from bike parts.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty impressive. And yeah, but they were, custom to work a certain way. Some of them are built to have more power and speed and a longer stroke. Others are built to, be a little slower and smoother and softer and hit softer. I don't like the traditional machines only because of how loud it is and how heavy. I find that the buzzing of those machines are just overwhelming, and it scares people.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy, because to me it would feel like it is loud, but it's like, I don't know. It would feel almost soothing. Yeah, almost comforting. Like
it is.
I mean, at least for you, maybe, for the artist,
right?
Or for someone that's had multiples, that's had a tattoo more than once, might find some comfort in it.
I mean, I got a guy. He has pretty much a bodysuit, and so the first few minutes when he walks in, he looks pretty sad when he's walking in, because he already knows that he's sitting through some shit. Yeah, through some shit, and you have those moments where it's like, oh man, I don't know how today's gonna go. I don't know if I'm gonna get through it. It's gonna be painful. It hurts, because. Sometimes when I go through space, man, I can go through some space and it's rough,
Right.
You get to that 4, 6, 7 hours of laying there and your flesh being delayed.
Right. Yeah.
It's not fun.
Dude, there's some crazy sessions I'm sure you've done.
Yeah, and then there's some people that can take 7 hours of tattooing, 8 hours of tattooing.
They just don't care.
And they just, it's no big deal to them.
Yeah, I don't know if I could do that.
Yeah. Longest session I ever sat for was 9 hours. No, I got from my ankle to my knee tattooed. Big Jack Nicholson tattoo. Chopping through here's Johnny.
Here's Johnny? Really?
Johnny, yep.
9 hours.
Yeah.
And was that the whole tattoo being done?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, and he the guy that did it, man, I just fed him a bunch of Adderall, and he just went at it, dude.
Oh man, that would suck.
Hours.
Like someone starts nodding off.
Right?
Right?
Nah, I don't think it quite works that way. He does it every day like that. But
Wow.
yeah, it's
Wow.
just
So the rotary you just like because it's quieter and
it's quieter, it's
lighter.
lightweight.
Yeah, and that's the one
You
thing,
know?
like noticing the size of it, I was like, wow, that's like looks
Yeah,
way easier to handle.
it is way easier to handle. They even have rotaries that are battery operated, which eliminates the cord.
Right.
So because sometimes the cord might
Can be
pull.
cumbersome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And it can pull, yeah. Change the angle.
yeah. It can pull. It changes the angle. You have to find like a new position, or the cord might be resting on the tattoo that you just did,
And you don't
so
want
it's a
that.
little uncomfortable. You know
Gotcha.
what I
Yeah,
mean?
because
So
it
you
could
don't.
be irritating the skin as it moving and stuff, right?
Yeah. So but I still use a cord, so I don't have a rotary
I would
machine
be
with
afraid to
battery.
use a battery just because, like, that's not something I really want running out of power. I kind of feel like, especially if you want the consistency,
Well, you would have multiple battery.
but you know what I mean? Like,
packs,
there's
yeah.
going to be a point where, like, it might start slowing down, and that's when you notice, and then maybe that's,
Yeah.
you know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, where you're not getting the speed, like you were talking about, adjusting the speed and everything at which the needle is going in. And if, like, you want that high speed and it starts slowing down, you could have unintentional effects, right?
Yeah, I mean, if that happens, just switch out your battery.
Right.
You're fine.
I'm just
You
saying
know?
the convenience of the cord is to prevent it from even being an issue.
Yeah. So, like, I can see where the battery packs, like if you're working in a small confined space, like at a convention or something,
Right.
those
Yeah.
are perfect.
Then it might make sense. Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't have to. All your stuff can be
Right.
elsewhere, and you can just go.
Well, and that
your
eliminates
thing.
the need for the regulator too, right? The machine. where
Yeah,
you actually
everything's
adjust
right
it.
on. Yeah, everything's
So
right
it eliminates
on the machine.
an extra piece of equipment too.
Yep. Yeah, it's actually really, really nice.
What's with the rubber bands on the needles? Because like that's one thing I noticed. Like is getting tattoos. I'm like, dude, they've been doing this rubber band thing for forever. They haven't figured something else out. That's like,
So on my machine, you don't need a rubber band. I don't use the rubber.
is that
bands on-
only mostly on traditional machines?
Yeah.
They like wrap that. They snap the rubber band around the needle and something else.
Yeah, I feel like the rotary machines are, they use less, rubber bands and stuff.
What was the purpose of that?
To hold the needle, from like flopping all over the place, because like it could like jump forward or something
Really?
like that.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what I
It
mean.
just creates pressure on it to hold it
Yeah.
in place.
Yeah, it creates pressure so it stays flush on the bucket of the of where it's being housed at.
Okay.
So there's grips and tubes, and that's what houses the needle, right? And you want and you want that needle to be flush with the
With the bottom.
with the bottom with
Right.
the back end of that
So that when it is coming out, it's only coming out past. And then it
yeah,
falls
it's
back
like
in, yeah.
sliding on the back end of your
Okay.
tubes.
Okay.
Yeah. So, my my mentor, he taught me to kind of bend the needles a little bit, like give it a little bit of a curve, so that way it puts a little bit more pressure on the and flattens out the needle, so it's
Okay.
a little more accurate. So.
I'm sure you learned those tips and stuff.
Yeah, I don't even use those types of needles anymore. Now I use disposable cartridges.
Really?
So yeah, I buy a tube grip, and that has a disposable cartridge needle head attachment to it. So before I would have to set up, if I wanted 4 or 5 different needles, I had to set up 4 or 5 different machines.
Right.
Now I can have one machine run 30 needles
You just switch them out.
and just switch them out.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So-
That's got to be a convenient and time saver, obviously.
It's convenient, and it's really nice too, because I can take those the heads of my needles, and what I do is I have like little cups of distilled water, and I usually put a little bit of Band-Aid. There's this solution called Band-Aid, and it's a disinfectant and
Okay.
whatever. And I let them soak in that, and then the ink doesn't dry up in the
Right.
needles.
Gotcha. So that way, when you go to put it back on, if you need to rework a color or something.
Yep. So if I'm doing colors, I'm not mixing all my colors and getting it mud up
That's cool.
or anything like that. So
And it keeps the housing and everything clean, so you're not like getting like.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, it keeps everything all nice and clean.
How long has that been around?
The disposal, the cartridges, you know what? I'm not exactly sure. Probably as long as I've been tattooing.
Really?
It's just, yeah, they're just starting to get a lot more popular now and
Gotcha.
stuff like that.
So I mean, the industry goes through those kind of.
I mean, technically rotary machines have been around since there was a tape cassette.
Right. Okay.
You know what I mean? Because they would in prison they would take apart tape cassettes and radios, and use those for tattoo machines.
Right.
Now, technically, that is a wireless rotary tattoo machine.
Wow.
So.
Yeah, the things that people can accomplish in prison when they're trying is amazing. But holy crap! Yeah. So like, so obviously, like the benefits you think of the rotary are better than using the traditional. If someone was wanting that,
for me,
is there a significant price difference between those?
I mean, yes and no.
I mean, there can be significant price differences between regular ones too, just based on.
Yeah, both of them go from anywhere between 50. You can pick up a rotary or a traditional tattoo machine for $20.
Oh, really?
Or you can go all the way up to $2,000 or $3,000. You know what I mean? It all depends on what
your budget is, and what you're looking for.
Yeah, what your budget is, what you're looking for. How fancy do you want to get? And, the machine that I use is it's a Dragonfly, so it's like $900.
Holy shit!
Yeah, that's pretty.
Damn.
Comes from Italy.
Okay, all right.
Made by the same guys that make Lamborghini parts, apparently.
Wow. Okay.
So
it's the Lamborghini of tattoo.
I guess so.
Wow. Holy crap! So what do you think is what's the craziest piece that you've ever done? Like the one that you're just like.
They're all crazy.
They're all crazy.
Every single tattoo. Why would anybody get that? You just sit there for hours or even a few minutes to get stabbed. Every tattoo's crazy.
You've done it yourself.
You gotta be out of your mind to do that. No, but I don't know. Oh gosh, man, I turned this dude's dick into an elephant trunk.
What?
Swear to God.
Way.
Yeah.
I cannot imagine sitting for that shit.
Yeah,
Fuck that.
He was gonna be on this I don't know, some kind of TV show or something, and
wait, so he was doing this in preparation for being on a TV show?
Yeah, and it was like the craziest tattoos around the world, and
wow.
And they were flying him out to Europe to be on TV, and but he had to get his tattoo finished. He already had this
part of it done.
Yeah, he already had kind of like a weird outline or whatever, and he hit me up. He's like, "Yeah, I can't find any artist that will do genitalia. Everybody thinks I'm joking, And I told him, I was like, "Well, you know what? I've never done tattoo on a dick before, so come on in, let me see it, and then I guess we'll just go from there.
Come on in and let me see it.
Come on in, let me see what you got, dude.
Let's see what you're working with here.
Yeah, put a deposit down. Wow. Let me know you're serious.
Well, there's a whole bunch of jokes there.
Yeah, well.
Oh man.
He earned his elephant trunk.
He earned his trunk.
It was cool.
It's rough. So I mean, even that's got to be a weird. Texture, because it's got to be different than like skin that you're used to doing.
I thought it was gonna be a little weird, in hard, but but it wasn't.
Was it just the shaft or the head and everything?
It was the head and everything, dude.
Fuck that.
I did a reverse smile. I had to also finish a reverse smiley face on the tip of his dick. That was That looks very painful.
Fuck that. Why?
He got through it. He was fine.
Wow, that's crazy.
That's
crazy. Obviously, it didn't get hard. What would you have done if it did?
Let him handle that. he had his wife there or whatever. I could always
Shit. Just
give him
leave the
5
room.
minutes. But yeah,
Oh,
dude, I
that's
did that.
crazy.
I turned this girl's this girl. She had her snatch. She turned it into a fruit bowl. She wanted to look tasty. So I was like, I could help you out with that. So,
Do you get a lot of cover-ups?
I do a ton of cover-ups.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the people that come see me, they're looking to.
Did you
either
tattoo
fix
my?
or
I think
cover.
you tattooed my brother. He had the
Yeah,
he
with
had
the
fucking-
lion.
Yeah, with the lion.
Yeah.
Shit, yeah.
Yeah, I covered all that up for him.
Yeah. That lion looks badass.
Thanks.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
looks really
thanks,
good.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a trippy lion and
Yeah, what did he have? Like a
eagle and
snake
stuff.
going through a skull or something? Stupid.
No, it was an eagle tearing
Yeah, he
through
had an
his
eagle,
skin.
yup.
And then
And I think there was the other one was like an incomplete snake that was going through a skull or something.
Yeah, I don't even remember
Yeah,
what it was. It was
can't even
something
tell.
scribble.
How hard is that to do? How hard is it to cover up stuff?
Each one is different. Yeah, so each one's going to be different, and it can get pretty hard.
Because I mean, is there a possibility it's never really always covered up? Like there's always
Oh yeah.
you can see if you look hard enough, you should be able to still make out some parts. Or
Yeah, so with cover-ups, a lot of times you can kind of see the like the scarring and
yeah.
stuff like that.
I know, like
or-
my tattoos will raise up once in a while. I'll be able to like feel it.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? I'm not exactly sure what that is, but yeah, your nerves.
Yeah, it's
like,
weird. It's not like all the
recognize that
time. It's just like out of nowhere. I'll
Yeah.
be like, like cold or something, and I'll be like, oh, I can feel it now.
Yeah, and I think those are just your lymph nodes swelling up there. Yeah,
That's
so
weird.
It's like, yeah, a little.
But the cover-ups are cool though. Do you like doing those?
Yeah, I like being able to do the cover-ups. Especially if I'm doing a cover-up that's like the other day, a couple weeks ago, I did a cover-up of a koi, and the koi fish he had was flesh-colored and looked a lot like a cock. And I mean, this thing was like,
Oh my god.
pretty large.
Right.
And
So
he
large.
said ever since they got it, he never wore shorts. He would go to the beach
Where
and
was
wear
it?
pants. Right on his leg, in between his knee and ankle.
Okay.
And yeah, the poor guy never went to the beach
Because he was afraid of his.
Because he was afraid. Yeah, he was afraid of what people would think.
Embarrassed of his
embarrassed,
cock-looking, flesh-colored.
Yeah, 10
koi fish.
years, and you go in for laser. It's never really going to go away. It takes a year or two of laser plus whatever,
Yeah.
however many thousands. But, yeah, I covered it up. So far, I think he's like, I don't know, like $1,300 into it. And we got almost a quarter half sleeve on his leg.
Oh, really? Okay.
And we got everything all
covered up.
covered up. It's gone.
What did you say when you first saw it? Like, it looks like a dick on your leg.
No,
I mean, he
dude,
said that. Didn't
Yeah,
he?
he said it.
Right.
He's the one that
He
brought
was
it
like,
up.
dude, it
And I
looks
was
like I got a
"Oh,
dick on my
okay."
leg. We got to cover this shit up.
Yeah, you know what? I used to talk shit about tattoos or whatever. Back when I first started doing this, and I was really opinionated on like what a good and a bad tattoo was. Now that I've been doing it for a while, my opinion on what a good and bad tattoo is completely different than what you would probably normally think. A good tattoo to me is the one that stayed and you enjoy.
Right.
That's
Okay.
it. That's all that it takes.
No matter what the quality looks like.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, the quality of the tattoo or the beauty of it or whatever, that's in the eye of the beholder. You know what I mean? That you could look at something on somebody's arm and go, oh wow, that looks like an 8-year-old child drew it.
Yeah.
And you could be talking shit to him about it, right? Ask him about it in a rude way or whatever. But you never know. That actually might be their 6-year-old child that
drawing,
drew it
right.
and drew it on them, and that 6-year-old child might not even be around anymore.
Right, and that's the memorial.
And now that you just brought it up in a negative way, how does that feel? You know what I mean? So
for sure.
So I'm very careful about my opinion on that kind of stuff is different now. You know, I see it from a whole nother perspective.
Gotcha.
So,
Excellent.
and I feel like I don't know. I feel good about being able to look at things that way. I like being able to understand the world and the people around me a little bit better. So,
you feel like you can tell a lot about someone from their tattoos?
I mean, yes and no.
Have you ever had ones that like you were like, yeah, that's that makes sense. You have that tattoo.
Well, you know what? If there wasn't cliches and if there wasn't, then there wouldn't be cliches, right?
Yeah.
Like, sometimes you can tell a lot about somebody just by their clothes or this or that, but never forget, don't judge the book by the cover, because that could just be fake. It could be real, it's
right.
not, it's just what they want you to see.
Do you get people that come in and just whatever you want to do?
Sometimes, yeah.
Are those fun or are those scary or?
A little bit of both. Even though that people tell me, oh man, just do whatever it is you want to do, I still force them. I'm like, yeah, well, if you do whatever I want to do, I'm down to get paid, go home and play some video games.
Right.
Like,
Hear you there.
Why don't you come and do that with me? And then, but they don't ever want to do that. So then they choose something. Give me at least a guideline.
Right. All right. Well, Adam, that's 2 hours.
Yeah.
That's quite a while, quite a long time.
Thanks, man.
What information you got out there? Someone wants to get a hold of you to do a tattoo. Where can they find you or look at your work?
Yeah, it's if you just look up my name, Adam Seymour Art, and I should be able to pop up on Google. On my Facebook and Instagram comes up. I work at Eternal Tattoos over in Clawson, and that's it.
All right, Adam, check out his work because it's phenomenal. I follow you on social media and stuff. I see some of the stuff that you're posting is crazy.
Awesome. Thank you.
Sometimes you put up the little clips and other ones. I mean, it's some pretty sick shit, man. And
thank you.
The work that you've done for my family members and stuff too. It's weird, like so many people. I mean, but that's good though, right? Because it's like
I get to know whole entire families and friend groups, and I don't think everybody actually really realizes how connected this entire community is.
Yeah.
I mean, can be. I mean, like, everyone knows everyone. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Well, Adam, again, I appreciate you joining and jumping on the podcast. It was fun
thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
It was awesome. And everyone, that was the Get Up.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to The Get Up. Make sure to check out thegetupshow.com for more information on this episode's guests. While you're there, check out other episodes, leave a comment, or if you'd like to be a guest on a future episode, shoot an email to contact@thegetupshow.com. Don't forget to follow, like, and share on Facebook at The Get Up Show Podcast. Follow on Instagram and Twitter at The Get Up Show, and subscribe to The Get Up YouTube channel. The Get Up is available on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, Google Play Music, YouTube, and anywhere you listen to your favorite podcasts.